my project for the Masters would have been this study which my poster proposes. Unfortunately, the COVID lockdown meant I couldn't get out of home to actually carry out the study, so I had to completely revamp my research proposal for the purposes of the Masters, but of course this still remains as a proposal for a study in its own right still, and hopefully we'll get it done before too long in any case.
For something like this, there must be a lot of research involved. I mean, let's talk about Gibraltar's sort of rocky outcrop. How would your sort of proposal factor in?
Well, Gibraltar is by no means unusual in having quite a lot of artificial rocky shore as a proportion of its total perimeter, and in fact, well more than half of Gibraltar's shore is in fact artificial. So about 3/4 of it is artificial. Some of it is vertical sea walls, some of it are the boulders that we're familiar with, and we're left with a quarter of it untouched, much of which is of course are the vertical sea cliffs. So there is plenty of work to be done in this area to try and enhance biodiversity.
Where do you think we are in terms of biodiversity in Gibraltar personally?
Well, we are at a hotspot because we have the confluence of the Mediterranean and the Atlantic as regards the water, which is the bit that I understand best. There are, of course, other areas like the avian aspects where we're more at a highway, and we are that as well. For the sea, because we are the migration pinch point between all of the Atlantic and anything that wants to come in and out of the Med there too. So we do have rather a lot of species and rather a lot of numbers per unit area, but it has declined over the last decade or century or so, as it has indeed everywhere else, but we remain rather rich.
I liked it personally because, like, we all know we had like COVID, so the first lockdown was happening last year, and I had to go home to Belgium for a while, and my project was like asking the locals here in Gib to contribute to send in photos of the underwater camera, and like they could still be involved with the marine environment even while they were at home being safe behind the computer, and looking at the underwater camera to send in certain fish species that they saw and photos to me. So it was still nice to have like that contact and the contribution of the locals of Gib itself.
How have you found your time here at the university as well?
I really enjoyed it. It was quite intensive at certain times, but it was a nice change and a nice challenge, and I really enjoyed my time here. Yeah, it was good.
It's going to be like a Q&A sort of session, so what are you hoping that people get out of hearing what you have to say?
One of the main things I think is increasing their awareness, just because we have Gib is surrounded by the ocean and the Med Sea, so I just want them to know what is out there and what the sea is. It's not just water, and there you have a whole life system and cycle happening there as well. So it's easy to just see the beach as a place where you go in summer, and then sometimes you even see people leaving their trash behind, but it has an influence, and everything happens it's a cycle for us as well. What happens in the sea has an influence on us. What we do have an influence on sea life. So I just want them to know how they can maybe protect or see the different types of species there.